Hey everyone, welcome back. Today I'll be talking about how to find the joy in art again and to let go of perfectionism and actually start improving your art skill. The best piece of advice I've been given when it comes to art is to never expect that you will like the first thing you draw. Let's say you have an idea or a vision, so you sit down, you grab a pen and paper, and you try to draw that, but it doesn't turn out the way you wanted, or at least you don't like how it turned out. And then maybe you think you're a terrible artist and you become frustrated and give up on it entirely. But the thing is, this is exactly what keeps you stuck, and it keeps you from improving in your art. I know I used to feel that way. I used to really love drawing growing up, and I did it all the time until I got to a point where I was actually pretty okay at art. And that's when I stopped enjoying it, because I felt like there was suddenly this pressure from myself to like everything that I draw. And because of this, it became stressful, and I realized it was turning into a bit of perfectionism, where I would try to do something, and if it wouldn't be exactly what I wanted it to be, then I would just give up entirely. And I'd feel awful, I'd feel terrible about myself. But looking back, I realized that you can't expect to try something once and for it to turn out exactly how you wanted. This is what keeps you stuck as an artist. So try not to see the first attempt or the first thing you draw as a reflection of your ability. Instead, your talent as an artist is in the process, it's in practice, it's what you're able to make from the vision you have. So let's say you want to draw a bird. Instead of sitting down with a single piece of paper and trying to draw that bird, that final bird that should look exactly like what you imagine it to be, instead sit down and draw 100 different birds. And you want to draw these birds from different angles and different styles, from different positions, use different colors, experiment. The point is that you're allowing yourself to practice. It's the process of creating the final piece that you want to have. And that final piece will then match your vision. But to get there, you need to allow yourself to experiment and practice, because that's where you're going to improve. And when you're doing this, when you're drawing these 100 birds, for example, notice each time what you want to change about it. Notice what you like and what you don't like. Because when you do this, you're studying the subject, the bird, just as much as you're studying your own skill. And this will help you identify where you can improve in your abilities and what you want to do more and less of. I believe this is the only fair way to go about creating art, because you're actually giving yourself a chance to learn and to practice and to improve. One thing I've realized is that in art, your vision and your skill are two separate things. And I believe this is where you tend to become frustrated, because maybe you have this great idea, you have the aesthetics it takes to create a vision you want, but then your skills don't quite match that. Your skills are still behind, so that when you try to create the piece you want, you can't. Your skills don't allow you to do that yet. And then you think that's a reflection of your own talent. You might think, oh, I'm a bad artist, I can't do this, and you give up. But really, this is such a good sign, because your vision is what will ultimately make you a great artist. Your skills you can improve. All that takes is time and effort, and if you focus on bringing your skill to the same level as your vision, then you'll be able to create such great things. But you need to realize that this is why you're not happy with what you're creating. It's why you don't like your own art. So by following a creative process like this, where instead of jumping right into the final painting or the final piece you want to make, you practice all the elements that you want to include in your art, you're actually giving yourself a chance to improve and to see what you like and what you don't like. If you, for example, draw those 100 birds, you'll notice what exact things you should practice more, what you need to improve, and it's also a great way you can try out different art styles. Just allow yourself to experiment, because so much of the joy in art comes from experimenting and learning what it is you like. If you make a point of doing this, it will allow your skill to catch up and reach the same level that your vision is at. And then this is when it can become fun again, because you're actually able to start creating the things you imagine, the things you want. And so much of joy in art is doing exactly that. Another thing that's really helped me get out of this art rut is realizing what kind of environment can help me be most creative. I found that I feel the most creative somewhere between routine and chaos. And what I mean with that is these are two things that I believe are very important when creating art. And the first, routine. Routine is simple. It's being consistent in what you do. It's setting goals and sticking to it and really putting in the work to improve your skills to be able to create the things you want to do. And an important part of that is having routine. Even if you don't feel like it, even if you don't feel inspired, you just have to do it anyways. And if you notice that you're not improving in your art, you're not making progress, then it's probably because you're lacking in the area of routine. So be consistent, take it seriously, and just get the ball rolling. Now, the other side of that, chaos, is what I describe as having something to express. I believe so much of creativity is just an outlet for expressing what's already inside of us. And it's a way to process and deal with emotions as well. And I think this is different for so many people. For some people, they let out their emotions through sports, and for others, they may prefer creative outlets. So you need something to be expressed though. And if you find you've been doing your drawing every day, you've been working on improving your skill, and you'll really notice an improvement in that area, but maybe you're feeling a bit dried up when it comes to inspiration. You don't feel as motivated or inspired to create art. And when this happens, I find that I need to make an effort to seek out new experiences. And this can be by reading a new book, by going out, by meeting new people, anything that gives me something that I can then express or process in myself. And maybe you can relate to this. I know I find, funny enough, it's during the hardest times in my life that I suddenly find myself most inspired when it comes to art. So if you want to be more creative, try to pay attention to those two things and see what works best for you. What is the right balance for you when it comes to routine and consistency and having inspiration that you can express through your art? So I hope this helps. These are just some of the things that have really helped me find the joy in art again. And maybe you already do all these things. If so, awesome, keep it up. But I know I would just sit down and try something once, and then when it didn't work out, I'd give up and feel bad about it. And that's ultimately what caused me to stop being creative or drawing anything for such a long time. I'd feel so much pressure, mostly from myself, and it just wasn't fun anymore. And I think this is such a big thing with perfectionism, where you need to give yourself a set time or process where you don't have to be perfect, where the only point of it is improvement, experimentation, and growing from it. So changing your art process might really help release a lot of that pressure and tension and actually help you create a better final drawing. So to sum things up, the first thing that helped me get out of my creative rut is changing my creative process. It's realizing that so much of the frustration you have with yourself is only because your vision doesn't match your skill. And if that's the case, which it probably is, then you need to make an effort to improve your skill. When you're drawing something, focus 90% of your time on practice and studying it and seeing how you can improve, how you can get closer to the vision you have in your head. And like I said, maybe this means if you want to draw a portrait of somebody, then you need to do 100 different sketches of that same person from different angles and expressions and in different styles. Just try it out and see what you like, see what works and what doesn't, and try to understand why. And the second thing is creating the right routine to enjoy art again. It's being both consistent and finding new inspiration and noticing the balance between these two. Try to think of your life right now and notice, how are you doing on both of those things? Are you maybe not consistent enough? Are you maybe not allowing yourself to find new sources of inspiration? You can really start to make little changes like this, and I know in myself I've noticed a big difference, just focusing on finding the joy in art again, and doing so by understanding what's taking the joy away from the process for me, and how can I change that? So thank you so much for watching. I hope this helps. I hope you like this video. If you have any advice or tips for artists, I'd love to hear it. Please let me know in the comments, and I'll see you next week. Bye.